Gee, I just got a message from the town recommending I vote by mail for our June 11th local election to protect our health of both ourselves and our poll workers. I wonder how I go about getting a ballot and voting by mail for this election. I think I'll give our town clerk a call and ask her questions and see if she can help me walk through the process.
Hi, Judy.
Oh, hi, Kaari. How are you today?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. Say, I got the message about voting by mail for our upcoming June 11th election, and I was wondering if you could help me figure out how to do that.
Absolutely. We're getting that question a lot since the town manager sent out the message about encouraging people to vote early by mail. So what I can do is walk you through going onto our website in order
Okay,
to print out the early ballot application, which is one way that you can submit a request.
okay.
So,
What should I do here?
so if you go to concordma.gov, you'll go to the main webpage, our
Okay,
main website.
let's see. Concord MA official website. That looks like the right thing. You know, I see departments here.
Yes,
So should I click on that?
absolutely. Click on departments, yes.
Okay,
And then you'll get to the town clerk's office.
okay. Ah,
And there are a few ways to get there. So you can click right on that link, and that will get you right to the early ballot application, which is one of two applications by mail that you can use. The
okay.
early ballot application is for anyone. So any voter wishing to participate in the June 11th election. So that's probably the best one to look at.
Okay.
And we can accept these applications electronically as long as they're signed by fax or by mail or at our dropbox, which is located to the left of the townhouse at that side entrance. So
Okay.
you can see on this application, we're looking for the voter's name, the
Mm-hmm.
legal voting address, the
Now, the
voter's
name I
date of
put in
birth.
needs to be the one that's on my voter registration form. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And this should be my legal voting address. So it's not a PO box or necessarily my mailing address. Is that correct?
That's right. That's how you're registered to vote. So that would be a street address. And your date of birth.
Do I need to put Concord on the address line?
You don't actually need to put Concord
Okay. Oh,
because you're mailing it to us. And
so,
phone number and email address are optional.
okay.
So the important information is the voter name, legal voting address, where to mail the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the same as your legal voting address, you can just write same as above.
Okay. And what's
And
number three about?
Section 3 is if someone needs assistance in filling out the application, the person who is assisting them would be completing Section 3.
Okay.
Otherwise, the voter signs
Mm-hmm.
below that and dates the request.
Okay. If someone is helping someone fill in this form and they have a disability that does not allow them to sign, should the person assisting them sign the application?
Yes,
Okay.
that the voter does not have to sign if they're unable to. The person assisting would write their name.
Okay. Now, if I would need to print this out to sign it, correct?
Yes, unless you have an electronic signature.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to have, the law requires that we have an actual pen signature. So whether that's something that someone electronically attaches to that, you can also print out the application, sign and date it, take a picture of it with your phone, with your smartphone, and then email that request to us. Or you can just look at the information that's on the application that's requested and jot down a note and take a picture of that and email it to us. And that would be to townclerk@concordma.gov.
Okay.
So there are lots of ways to get it to us.
Yeah. So if I don't have a printer, then that would be a way for me
Right.
to apply for a ballot without having to use this specific form.
Yes.
Okay. Can you think of any reason why someone would need to use an absentee ballot application?
Well, the primary difference between the absentee ballot and the application and the early ballot application is that for the absentee ballot application, you need to have a valid reason for voting absentee. So that would be either you're outside of the jurisdiction, so you're outside of Concord during polling hours, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on June 11th. You're unable to get to the polls because of disability, which self-isolation for COVID-19 is considered one valid, or for religious reasons. Now, the absentee ballot application also, though, has the option of indicating for all elections this year, which the early ballot application does not, because this is early voting by mail for the rescheduled town election that was a special act of legislation that was passed in March. So the early ballot application is different.
Okay. But the early voting, though, seems to be a more straightforward way for someone to vote by mail for the upcoming election.
Yes, because it's open to every voter. It's an on-demand ballot request.
Okay. Wonderful, thank you. Now, when I submit my application, about what time frame should I expect to get my ballot?
So you want to give time for, well, if you're emailing the request, of course, we'll mail the ballot out the day that we get the request generally. If we have any questions because some information is missing, we'll reach out to you. Or what we're also doing is sending the request if someone has not included, for instance, a signature, and asking that they return that, because we're going to need that in order to be able to process the ballot on election day.
Okay, that's a good reason to put in a phone number or an email address, it seems like, so you can contact us.
Right.
Okay.
And it's important to remember that while there's a deadline for these things, of course, the deadline to submit an absentee or early ballot application is noon on Wednesday, June 10th, so the day before the election. But we can only mail the ballot out, and it has to have time to get to the voter so the voter can make their choices and then return to us. While it doesn't have to be returned by mail, we do have to receive it by 8 p.m. on June 11th. So it's important to not wait until that deadline, but to do it really as soon as possible.
Okay. And where would the ballot be returned?
The ballot would be returned to the townhouse, so that's 22 Monument Square by mail, or to our dropbox, which is again located at the left side entrance to the townhouse. It looks like a big mailbox.
Okay.
And that is a safe and secure place to drop off the ballot inside the ballot envelope. It's important to remember to also sign the ballot envelope once your voted ballot is put into the envelope.
Okay.
Those are important.
Oh, that's good to know too. But the ballot, the mail-in ballot should not be returned to a polling place. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
The early and absentee ballots have to be returned to the town clerk's office. And you'll notice the ballot still has the March date on it. That is something that the same legislation also allowed, so that we can save costs on printing. We don't have to print new ballots. The information does not change on who the candidates are. So the ballot still indicates March 31st, and that is valid for the June 11th election.
Oh, okay. Now, if I had already voted absentee prior to March 31st for this election, does my ballot still apply to the June 11th date?
Yes, that's part of the reasoning of having that same ballot type. So if we ran out of ballots and we had to print more, they would look exactly like the March 31st ballots. So all absentee ballots for the March 31st election are valid.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. I think I got my questions answered. I really appreciate your time today and walking me through all of this.
My pleasure, and thanks for asking.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you, too.